supervisors, teachers, and also students. Welcome again to the Syrian educational platform. I am Ms. Hiba Haj Khalil, a teacher of the English language at Ahmad Iskandar School in Damascus. Today is Sunday, 7th May 2023. Also, we are going to continue with the grade 12, unit 11, artificial intelligence, and this is scientific and literary section. So this grammar is connected with scientific and literary section. Grammar, we're going to start with reported speech. So now we are going to talk about reported speech. There are two ways of reporting what a person has said. What does reported speech mean? Reported speech when you have, for example, I talk something, okay, and there comes another person and reports or tells again what I have just said. So there are two ways to report what someone else has said, which are direct and indirect speech. Direct, example, he said, I have lost my umbrella. So the first person says, I have lost my umbrella, okay? I, personally, I will say, I have lost my umbrella. So another person comes and reports what I said. Indirect speech. So the first one is direct speech. He can say simply, he said, I have lost my umbrella. So notes with me that this person used the first words I said. Okay? I have lost my umbrella. I have lost my umbrella. It is the same, but it's preceded by he said. The second way is indirect. He said that he had lost his umbrella. Note that the meaning is the same. The meaning is the same. I lost my umbrella, it is still lost, okay? But here the tense changed, okay? The tense, we have a change in the tense, and this is indirect speech. So, direct speech, we have, we don't have a change of the tense in direct speech, but in indirect speech, the tense changes. And in this sentence, that is optional. Note, in direct speech, we repeat the original speaker's exact words. Okay, I will give you another example to explain it more. Example, I live in Syria. So the first person says, I live in Syria. Okay, this is my talk. I live in Syria. Another person comes to report what I said in direct speech. Look, it's direct speech. He said he lives in Syria. So he lives or she lives in Syria. This is direct speech. We don't change the exact words of the speakers. So we use the exact words or the same words of the first speaker. Look at this. He said, comma, and remarks, and here we have capital letter. So after the remarks, in direct speech, we have capital letters. But, so remarks thus repeated are placed between inverted commas. So these are remarks. These two commas, inverted commas, these are called remarks. And they are placed or put between inverted commas. So this is remarks. This is the comma, and followed by these two inverted commas, remarks. And the comma is placed immediately before the remark. So in direct speech, we use the same words of the speakers or the first speaker, and the tense does not change, and we have comma and two inverted commas also, and we have capital letter. Direct speech is found in conversations, in books, plays, and in quotations. When or where do we use this direct speech? It's used in conversations, books, quotations, and plays. Now, in indirect speech, now the other way to report what someone has said is indirect speech. We give the exact meaning of a remark or a speech without necessarily using the speaker's exact words. So in indirect speech, we don't use the same words of the first speaker, and we have also a change in the tense. Example. But still we have the same meanings, okay? The same meaning, not necessarily the same exact words, and the tense is changeable. Example, I live in Syria. It is simple present. He said that he lived in Syria. It is simple past. Look at this sentence. That is optional, and he lived, it's all small letters. So the tense changes. The first one, or the exact words of the speaker, was simple present, and the reported speech, which is in indirect speech, we have he lived, it's simple past. So the simple present becomes simple past. Note, the meaning is the same. I live in Syria. He said that he lived in Syria, so the meaning is the same. But the tense changes. The tense, here the first sentence, we have simple present, but in the second sentence, we have simple past. And here are no remarks. So in this sentence, we have no commas, we have no inverted commas, and we have no remarks. Tenses change as follows. So now we are going to consider the tenses which are going to change. The first one, the simple present becomes simple past. So all the tenses will come back to the past. The simple present becomes simple past. The present continuous becomes past continuous. The present perfect becomes past perfect. And look, if you have simple past, so if you have the simple past, what will it become? The simple past also will return to its past or older tense, which is past perfect. So you have two ways of past perfect. You have the present perfect will change to past perfect, and also the simple past will change to past perfect also. According to the verb to be, is with going to or when. So if you have going to or if you don't have going to, so and or is becomes was. Are becomes were. So what about was or were? If you have was or were going to, they are simple past. So was and were, they are simple past. Also, they should return to the older form of tense, which is past perfect. So also was and were will become had been. Okay? So or is will become was. Are will become were. But was and were will become had been in the past perfect. According to modals, will become would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, and have to or has to also will become had to. First and second person pronouns. Look, not only the tense. So we have just talked about the tense, and we said that the tense will change, okay? Now we're going to move to other section, which is the pronouns. First and second person pronouns and possessive adjectives normally change to the third person except when the speaker is reporting his own words. Also, we have a lot of pronouns, adjective pronouns or first person or second person pronouns also will change to the third person pronouns. Example, I will become he or she. So when I say I live in Syria, another person will come and say he lives in Syria or she lives in Syria. And the object pronouns also will change. Me becomes him or her. Possessive adjectives also will change. My will become his or her. Possessive pronouns also will change. Mine will become his or hers. Subject pronouns like we also will become they, etc. So a lot of pronouns, so adjective pronouns or subject pronouns, object pronouns, possessive adjectives, possessive pronouns, all of these will change. Example, she said, he's my son. She said that he was her son. Look at this sentence. She said he's my son. He is my son. This is a simple present sentence. And the simple present will become simple past. So she said that he was. Is becomes was. And the possessive adjective my will also change and becomes her because we are talking about a girl noun. Another example, I am ill, she said. So she said that she was ill. Also, I am, the verb to be will become was in the past. Not only pronouns, not only the tense will it change, but also the adverbs and adverbial phrases of time. So adverbs and adverbial phrases of time change as follows. So these are the phrases will change also. Today will become that day. Yesterday will become the day before or the previous night. Last, the previous. Tomorrow will become the next day or the following day. Example, I saw her the day before yesterday. He said that he had seen her 2 days before. Look at this sentence. Here we have the verb to. So is verb to, and it is simple past. And the simple past will return to past perfect, and the sentence will become he had seen. So the first one, I becomes he. The second, which is the tense, so becomes had seen. Simple past becomes past perfect. And the adverbial phrase, which is the day before, not yesterday. So he's not talking about yesterday, he's talking about the day before yesterday, and this adverbial phrase will also change and becomes 2 days before. Another example, I do it tomorrow, he promised. Here we have the modal verb or the future, so really the future verb will. I will do it tomorrow, he promised. We can say he promised that he would. So the past form of will is would. So will becomes would. And please pay attention that the verb after will or would or any other modal verbs will stay verb 0 or infinitive. So will do, would do. We only change the verb will, the auxiliary or the modal verb will to would. Okay, will becomes would, but do after will stay do after would, because will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, must, etc. all modals are followed by infinitive or verb 0. So will do becomes would do. So after would also we still have verb 0. And tomorrow becomes the next day. Another example. She said, my brother got married a year ago. Here we have direct speech. Okay, we have to report it, and the tense is got married. The tense is simple past. The simple past becomes past perfect. He said that her brother had got married. So here, got in the first sentence, got here is verb 2. Got here is verb 2. But in the second sentence, got is verb 3 because it's preceded by had, auxiliary verb had. And a year ago becomes a year before or the previous year. So it's an adverbial phrase. Now, when we turn direct questions into indirect speech, now, all we have just mentioned or talked about was statements or affirmative statements, affirmative sentences. Now we are going to talk a little about questions. When we turn direct questions into indirect speech, so here we have questions, okay? We have direct questions, and we should turn it to indirect speech. The following changes are necessary. Also, we have some changes. Number 1, tenses. Also, tenses change. Pronouns, possessive adjectives, possessive pronouns, adverbs of time and place. So all what we change in the statements or the affirmative statements also will change in the questions. It means also in the questions, when you report questions or indirect questions and become when you have direct questions and you should turn them to indirect speech. Look, they will not stay questions anymore, okay? So these questions will turn to affirmative sentences. They will not become questions anymore. Also, the interrogative form of the verb changes to the affirmative form. So as I am saying now, as I am telling you now, the interrogative form, which is the question form, will become affirmative statement. Okay, so there is no question anymore. C, the question mark is omitted in indirect questions. So surely when you change the question into an affirmative statement, so you will not use a question mark anymore. He said, example, where is the station? The first sentence, where is the station? Here we have a question, and it should be ended with a question mark. Where is the station? Here is a question. But when we change the question into a statement, into an affirmative statement, there is no question anymore. So he asked where the station was. Look at this sentence. Where, the WH word, which is where here, does not change. Okay, where, when. The WH question or the WH word does not change. Okay, it is the same. But the interrogative form, which is the form of a question, will change. We have, after where, we have is, which is the verb, and the station, which is a subject. So in the question, we have where is the station? Where is the WH word, is a verb, and the station subject. And this is a question that ends with question mark. But when we change it into indirect speech, will become like where the station was. So we will start with where, which is the WH word. Also, the station, the subject, okay, it is the subject, and is, or was, sorry, it is the verb. Okay, the tense was simply present, and it became simple past, which is was. So it's wrong to say where the station is, and it's wrong to say where was the station. So it's not a question anymore. Please, my dear students, concentrate, focus with me. It's not a question anymore. There is no question, there is no question mark. And the verb should be after the subject, okay? And there is a full stop at the end of the sentence. There is no question mark. Another example, she said, how old are you? How old are you? How old are you? This is a direct question. How old are you? This is a question. And it's ended with, or it's finished with question mark. How old are you? Okay, this is a question. But when we have to report it, she asked how old I was. Okay, how old? It is how old, it is the same. Are you becomes I was. Look, you becomes I. You becomes I. And the verb are was in present. It will become in the past, which is was. I don't say how old I were. It is how old I was. Look, the past form of are, the past of are is were, okay? Are in the past is were. But here we don't, we shouldn't use were because here the subject is I. And I takes was, not I were, okay? And like, or as I have just said, how old are you? How old is the WH word, are is a verb, and you is a subject. This is a question, okay? Also we have a question mark and we have remarks. This is remarks. But in the reported speech, we have WHH word and subject, then verb, okay? Subject plus verb. And there is no question mark. Another example. They said, when are you coming? When are you coming? This is present continuous, okay? Here we have a present continuous, and sure, it will become past continuous. They asked when we were coming. So, in the first sentence, we have these remarks, these inverted commas. These inverted commas. So here we have remarks. But in the second sentence, we don't have these remarks anymore. And we don't have a question mark. We should put a full stop. And look, when it is when. Are you coming? Present continuous. It will become we were coming, past continuous. In the first sentence, we have are you. We have a verb, then subject. But in the second sentence, we have a subject, then a verb. Okay, please concentrate on this because it is very important. Now we're going to do an exercise. Change the following sentences from direct to indirect speech. So here we have direct sentences. We have to turn or to change them to indirect speech. Number one, or example, Ali, I will be here at noon. Ali said that he would be there at noon. Look, Ali, I will. Will becomes would. So will becomes would. Here becomes there. Here becomes there. Number one. Maria, the train arrives on time. Here the tense is simple present. We have simple present and the simple present becomes simple past. Maria said that the train arrived on time. So it's so simple and easy. We have the verb arrives in present, becomes arrived in past. 2. Tariq, I have to finish this report by 3 o'clock. Tariq said that he had to finish this report by 3 o'clock. Here we have only some changes. I becomes he, because we are talking about Tariq, and have to becomes had to. Have to is a present modal, becomes a past modal, which is had to. 3. The doctor, the boy will improve quickly. The doctor said that the boy would improve quickly. Here also we have just one change, which is will become would. So the past of will is would. Number 4, William, I am leaving later today. I am leaving, it is a present continuous, and the present continuous will become past continuous. William said that he was leaving later that day. And the word today, the adverbial or adverb word today, will become that day. Number 5, Julie, I saw that movie last night. I saw that movie last night. This is a simple past tense. Julie said that she had seen that movie the night before. So the simple past will become past perfect. So will become had seen. Also, that last night will become the night before, okay? Or the previous night if you want. Number 6, Helen, I have read that book. I have read is present perfect, okay? It's a present perfect tense. Will become past perfect. Helen said that she had read that book. Number 7, Mary, I can't go to the movie with you. I can't go to the movie with you. Here, can't is a modal verb. The past form of can't is couldn't. So if you have can, will be or will become could. Can't will be or will become couldn't. And can't or couldn't are followed by verb 0 or infinitive. Now another exercise. Change the following job interview questions into indirect speech. So here we have an interview between two people, okay? Between two people. Someone asks and the other answers. We have to change the questions into affirmative sentences. Example, where do you live? So she asked him where he lived. The WH word, which is where, will stay. So where, it is the same, it is where. Do you live, it is simple present. Simple present will become simple past, and there is no need to write the auxiliary verb do. So do is omitted. It is deleted. And live will become lived because it is a simple present, will become simple past. Have you worked before? Have you worked before? It is a present perfect, will become past perfect. She asked him if he had worked before. Look at this sentence. This sentence is important. Have you worked before? Here we don't have a WH word. There is no WH word. There is no where, why, how, which, what, etc. We don't have any of these words. So if you don't have a WH word, you should use if, okay, or whether, if you like, if or whether. So, and also the tense changes, okay? The first one, have you worked, is present perfect, will become had worked, which is past perfect. So number 1, why do you want the job? Why do you want the job? It is a simple present, will become simple past. It becomes, she asked him why he wanted the job. So you want, simple present, it will become simple past, he wanted. And don't forget that do, does, did. These 3 auxiliary verbs, do, does, did, will be omitted, will be cancelled, okay? There is no need to write do or does or did. We have just to put the main verb in the simple past form. And don't forget that also the question mark will be deleted and replaced by a full stop. Question 2. How did you hear about it? It is a simple past tense. She asked him how he had heard about it. So did you hear? It is a simple past. It will become past perfect. How he had heard about it. Now 3. Have you got any experience before? It is the present perfect. It's present, so the tense is present perfect. This is note 1. Note 2, here we don't have WH word, so we should use if. She asked him if he had got any experience before, so have you got will become had got, and we should use if because here we don't have a WH word. Question 4, can you work 7 days a week? Here we have the modal verb can, it will become. She asked him if he could work 7 days a week. Also, we don't have WH word, we just have the modal can, and it will become could. How will you travel to work? Also, we have the word, the future verb will, followed by travel, verb 0. She asked him how he would travel to work, so will become would, and don't forget that after will, would, can, could, or any another modal, we should use after them verb 0. Number 6, do you have a car or do you prefer walking? Also, we don't have WH word, so concentrate that if you don't have a WH word, you should directly use if. She asked him if he had a car, so the past of have. Do you have a car? It is a simple present, and it will become a simple past. And the verb have here, it's not an auxiliary verb, but it is a main verb. Okay, have here a main verb because it is preceded by do. Okay, because it is preceded by do. So when have or has a main verb, it will become had. Okay, it is symbol had. So she asked him if she had a car. If she had, look at this sentence, it's not past perfect. Had here, it's not an auxiliary verb because it is not followed by verb 3. Okay, had plus verb 3. Okay, it is had an auxiliary verb, and the tense is past perfect. But here, had is not followed by a verb 3, so it is a simple past. Or he preferred walking. Also, the verb prefer changed to the past, which is preferred. Number 7, how much do you expect to earn? Also, do you expect, it is a simple present, will become simple past. She asked him how much he expected to earn. Number 8, when can you start? We have can, it will become could. She asked him when he could start. So please pay attention to the modal verbs because they are followed by verb 0. Also, this is all for today. Thank you for our